So, good afternoon. Welcome to everyone. Bienvenido, Baruch, Shalom, Salam, Satnam. Bienvenue. We have someone here from Switzerland. Where is our friend from Switzerland?
She'll be right back.
Oh, okay. I'm Ruth Brody Sharon. I'm your MC for today. And I first, before we get into this wonderful program, special program, to make sure that when you leave here today, you will not be the same person as when you entered. That's our commitment to you, right? So first, let me introduce you to our venerable, distinguished, saucy, impertinent, who am I talking about, everybody?
Toddy!
Toddy! Just stand and wave to all of us, Toddy. This is the woman who makes it all happen. And for more than 35 years has been bringing speakers who have changed the world.
Right.
Even before they knew they were going to change the world, she knew it. So, and our wonderful speaker and facilitator and guide for today is a personal friend of mine, Heidi. We've known each other for a while, but in the last few months really gotten to know each other better. And we were at the Parliament together in Chicago, and she's my house guest this weekend, and it feels like having a sister in my house, not a guest. So let me tell you a little bit about Heidi. She's going to tell you much more about herself because it's actually her life story that led her to the work of her life and to the passion of her life and to a huge, ambitious project that you're going to hear more about because of her own life and childhood. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the professional side of Heidi. She's originally from Oklahoma City. She received her MFA in painting in 1979 and her BA in biology and visual arts in 1976, both from UCSD. She has been exhibiting her paintings for 40 years in galleries and museums, and she has taught art at all levels. Her artwork was represented by a New Space LA from the early 1980s. Is that the place on Melrose you told me about? On Melrose. Until 2006, and she exhibited along with many of the California artists that we've heard of, like Diebenkorn and was Ed Rocher there as well, yes. When the gallery closed with its archives, they were taken over by the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. So if you go and you want to look at your archives from your exhibits, you can find them there?
I would hope so.
Okay, so next time you're in the Smithsonian. She now directs and represents her own artwork and that of other San Francisco fine artists at Think Round Fine Arts. So this is something about Heidi which is so remarkable when you actually see it. It's true that she and her husband took over a parking lot parking garage in downtown San Francisco, and they created, there's 7 condos altogether, and they created for themselves on the first floor a gallery, an art gallery, and a living space that are intertwined. So she literally can get up in the morning, roll out of bed, and go into her gallery. And this space has become a magnet for a lot of children from different schools who come and do art projects there. And she, aside from her own work, she has also found a way to get the city involved in helping support art for children. And she's going to share with you today an idea for the future whose time has come of creating a center for the human family.
Yay.
And I want to put in at this moment a little plug for George. Where's George? Zabo. Because This could only happen in our community. Are you ready? About a year ago, George was with us at Tottie's house. She had a big event there, and they were talking at the time about developing a temple of humanity, right? So George had the most clever idea to go around and ask everybody to talk about the museum as if it already existed and as if we had just been there to visit, right? And so everybody spoke about a different aspect of the museum. You know, like the blind man and the elephant, everyone spoke about the tusk and the ears and the this, and everybody had something different to say about the museum. And recently, Toddy sent that video out, and I sent it to Heidi, because it had some similar themes, the Museum of Humanity and the Center for the Human Family. There were certainly crossovers there. She got so excited, and she called me on the phone and she said, I can't find it listed anywhere online or in any other way. Can you tell me the address so I can go and visit it when I come here to LA?
Wow.
So George succeeded in creating something in the invisible realm that maybe will become the visible realm eventually, right? And now we're talking about maybe doing a similar film, George, where we ask everybody, how does it feel to live in a world of peace? And everybody would talk about what they're experiencing in a world of peace, and specifically, right? So you're gonna have a wonderful time today. And I hope, how many of you remember to bring a memento of some kind, a photograph or something from your, perfect. Okay, so it's now my pleasure to introduce Heidi Hardin, artist, visionary, and honorary sister.
Thank you, Ruth. I call Ruth my guardian angel, my fairy godmother. She's just so magical, and all of her friends are so magical. So I am blessed to be here, and I appreciate all the TLC that you guys are going to afford me, because I am going to share my trauma story, or parts of it. I grew up in a chaotic Christian home. I have a PowerPoint, and I'm going to review what we're going to do in the art activity to begin with, so that while I'm going through my slides of my artwork and what I did to transform my adversities, that you can be thinking what you want to do with your artwork, your object, or your, somebody has a bunny, people have photos and dishes and things. So, and if you don't have anything, you can just think about a story or get on your phone and find a photograph that is inspiring to you and use that. And there's collage materials back there, magazines, that if you don't want to even look at your own stuff, you can find something there. Okay, so let's get into what we're here today to look at, and I'm just gonna get this started. The question is that, and Ruth thought this title up. She's seen my presentations before, and we were coming up with, you know, what is she gonna do? And she said, Heidi, I've got the perfect title for you. Can art save your life? And I said, that's a great title. So I'm going to share with you what my home and family were like, what happened, and how art did save my life, and how art provided visions, many of them, by channeling pain into purpose and finding true love, God within me. So this is the lesson plan that I wrote up for the art making workshop. I'm a teacher, I work with kids all the time, I have to have a lesson plan. So I've never shown my kids the lesson plan, but this is your lesson plan. And so I'm just asking you to pre-pave a lovely experience. You know what you brought, you know what you're gonna see. You're gonna see how I used all the different kinds of medium that you will have options to use. And think about how you want to bring forward why you chose that particular object, because it has deep meaning for you, and it has information to share with you. And it will speak to you. There was a bunny talking to me earlier that somebody brought. So the main idea is art making can explore personal narratives, healing, connection through creating visual arts and images, using images, objects, and stories. And the title of the activity is Transformative Narratives, a Journey Through Art and Healing. And I'm going to talk about reparenting and finding true love through art and contributing to the Virtual Center for the Human Family. Ruth talked about the Center for the Human Family, a physical space. I have attracted almost 3,000 young people who are UX, UI designers, community builders, architectural renderers, a whole lot of these digital geniuses. And they built a virtual center for the human family. And we launched it in October, and we'll talk about that. So before we go much further, I want you to think about, as I'm going through my thing, is your object holds a story and it has significance to you, and you want to think about why it is, and probably way deep in your childhood or deep in your past, you're holding something through this object and it's speaking, moving forward through you. And I think that's all I want to say about this, but just know that we have all kinds of materials, pencils, paper, oil pastels, watercolors, and rulers with compasses. And we want you to think about, as we go forward, what your objects or what image you want to use wants you to use. Here's how art prepaid your spiritual awakening. This is a large painting I did of my family. It was from my MFA exhibit at UCSD. The painting is 8 feet high and 10 feet wide, and that's my mother, my brothers and sisters, and I. And the first line of my MFA thesis is, the intent of all my work has been to observe and delineate man's relationship to nature, its seasons, in terms of his customs, ceremonies, dresses, and artifacts. And 2 years later, I was doing an art performance at UC, or San Francisco State, or San Diego State, with Jonathan Sachs. Does anybody know Jonathan Sachs? He's a composer who's worked with Randy Newman to do all the films. He's an orchestrator for Randy Newman. And he's done all the music for everything I've ever done. And when I sent out this invitation, for some reason, my inner teacher had me write that crazy sentence, "Please love me forever." I had no idea where it came from. I had no idea why I had done it. And I wrote it with my left hand because I knew it was a young part of myself that wanted to speak. So I painted swans for, I don't know, 20 years. This was shown at New Space LA, and one of my first solo shows there was called Parsifal and Self-Discipline. Incantations, Parsifal, and Self-Discipline. And there were 10 panels like this. Each panel was 10 feet high, 10 feet long and 1 foot high. And this is when I really got into what was at the heart of swans for me. I wrote out my trauma story and illustrated it. And so Up to Age 6 and the Long, Long Thoughts of Youth is the title of my book. And I've dedicated it to President Carter and Nadine Burke Harris. They both advocate for women and children and to end adverse childhood experiences. And I use quotations throughout by My Lost Youth by Longfellow. This is a page from my memoir. And this is the turning point when I had to leave my mother, because she had been in a relationship with a medical doctor she married after divorcing my dad, and he would go off his psych medications, and when he did that, he would drink, and when he drank, he battered. So we moved 9 times in 2 years, trying to get out of, and going back, getting out and going back. So at Christmas time, I told my oldest sister, I can't go back, I just can't. So she told my dad that if you don't take the kids away from her, I will. She was 21 and old enough to do it, and that's when I moved in with my dad and my stepmom. So that's enough from the early years of my trauma. You can go to our website at thinkround.org or Think Round Fine Arts. You can go on a virtual tour of 5 exhibits that lay out in different medium my trauma story. Everything's been laid out there, and it's difficult. You have to have a window of tolerance that's pretty wide to even go there. Some of it's so difficult for me even today. I couldn't read what I had written. I had to have the computer read it before I could post it. But at some point I was in a spiritual school, and then I graduated from there. I was 7 years in that school. And then I started, I got sober, and these 2 teachers, Houston Smith and Joseph Campbell, those series were happening, and Joseph Campbell said the symbol for the new myth to come is the earth and its people. And Bill Moyers asked him, who's going to create that myth? Because he was saying that our churches and religious institutions are failing humanity. And Joseph Campbell said, artists will. Artists will create the new myth to come. And I said, sign me up. Let me help with that. So Joseph Campbell and the Children's Mural Program students that I've taught and their families have given Think Round, our nonprofit, our code of ethics. Earth is home and humans are family. And Houston Smith said, if you take the world's enduring religions at their best, we discover the distilled wisdom of the human race. And being raised in a chaotic Christian home, I never felt any distilled wisdom. It didn't feel right. And so when he said that, I said, well, I want to know what that is. Show me. And so I have come to realize that the essential wisdoms of every faith is that God is real. We all have a soul or an eternal spirit. We all value compassion and love, and that at the heart of it all, that God is love. But this is one of the exhibitions. I was invited to be in an exhibition called Silent Something and Gentle Screams, and I did 12 a series of 12 paintings and collage materials with a soundtrack. Jonathan did the soundtrack, and it's online, you can listen to this, but it was this kind of artwork that helped me begin to see that when I was sleeping, I felt like I was in prison, and I didn't know why. And it took, I don't know what, I was 9 or 10, 11 years sober when my husband came into my life, the man that I was to marry. And he's been the one that has given me the time and space to bring forth what I had been hiding. And he knew from his own experience, because he's the lid that fits for me, that I would be destroyed if I didn't let it out. So thank you for letting me let this out. Being with my husband for many years, I guess I had been teaching in the public schools in Bayview Hunters Point in San Francisco for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years when I met him. And not long after that, I started a nonprofit, and we've accomplished quite a lot with the children. Our nonprofit is Think Round, and our mission is to cultivate the fullest potential of home and family through art and science. Because we were teaching environmental science using art as a teaching tool for decades in the Bayview Hunters Point schools, and all that I know and love is because of these children and their families and what I was teaching and learning from them about the sacred nature of air, water, and soil, and the need to protect those precious resources to keep the planet happy and healthy. We've had a lot of support from political leaders. Nancy Pelosi came every year and took the kids' anthology of essays about what they learned from the artists and thanked them for their gift of a public mural, and said she would share their anthology with the president so that he knew that they were helping to beautify their neighborhood and that they were concerned about protecting the environment. And I don't know if you're familiar with Willie Brown. he helped us a lot too. So there is in the southeast sector a closed naval shipyard called Hunters Point Shipyard, and I had been appointed by Mayor Jordan back in 1992 to be on the Citizens Advisory Committee for reuse of the shipyard. And that's how I thought up the children's mural program, because that process of how does the city transform this Superfund site into a productive, useful space. There's 750 acres of waterfront property in San Francisco. You don't want it to sit there because it's toxic. So that's how the children's mural program started, and the essence of it is when the air, water, and soil are happy and healthy, so will be the plants, animals, and people. And then we doubled our student enrollment and started taking kids on field trips in our kids' environmental education program so they could have hands-on experiences in the environment. They're at the shipyard doing mock cleanup exercises. We have intergenerational family art making programs and after-school programs. We have teen theater arts program teaching community history and civic leadership. We've taken 2 cadres of children and their chaperones, teachers and principals to Dakar, Senegal and Paris, France to have exhibitions of their artworks and to share with children who speak French And one of our board members was the guide and French teacher, so our students could speak French to the children that they were meeting. Our public artworks are, we give an artwork or a mural to the city every year, and the Public Utilities Commission hosted our children's mural programs, muralists that year, and this was all featured on, and it's still there, was featured on the Southeast Water Treatment Facility. We've done permanent tiles that have gone up this huge stairway in the neighborhood. They're now out at the first public artworks out at the Shipyard. And we were awarded one of 9 of the first public art commissions at the Shipyard, and we hope for similar projects to be made at the Center for the Human Family and across the Bay Trail, created by children, families, and residents in the impact zone of the Shipyard. And this is stream of consciousness and the bench back there, and this is what it looks like close up. So if you ever go to the city, I hope you'll visit this mural. It's in, there's 24 panels, and in each panel is a quote about water by 12 women and 12 men. From Shakespeare to Maya Angelou. So these were our key collaborators and innovative partners in our kids' programs. These are awards. My favorite is the Environmental Achievement Award, where we were recognized for outstanding leadership in protecting the environment and public health for this and future generations.
Nice.
The true benefit of our programs is that more than 4,000 children have learned the power of their own creativity and stewardship of the planet. We've been teaching environmental science for decades, and we hope to expand our curriculum and share it across the city and the country and the world through our new whole systems learning curriculum and new partners. We have these new partners, and I got to know Ruth because of the United Religions Initiative, which we joined. Think Round was invited to join in 2018, so not that long. But I Zoom with women from around the world every month, and Ruth is going to be presenting about the Peace by 2030 to all of us women, so that we can think of how our organizations can commit to that and carry that message, because I really believe that it can be possible, and the man who started it has already gotten billions of people across the world to commit to this notion. So these are the plans we have. We'll be teaching prenatal through retirement. So we'll put all of you to work. And there are certainly many proven models for this kind of education across a lifetime, and Inner City Arts here in LA has laid the foundation for this. I don't know if you guys know about Bill Bates or Bob Bates and what they've done there. It's just unbelievable. So the question is how did ACES become Think Round's health and wellness program? And if you don't know what ACEs are, it's an acronym for Adverse Childhood Experiences. It started because I was teaching in the schools. I was painting families from around the world who are practicing the 10 major world religions, and I guess I didn't even include the section on adverse childhood experiences. But Nadine Burke-Harris, if you haven't seen her TED Talk, some of you are giving me the heads up, the yes, I've seen it. She changed my life. And it was the children who were coming to me as I was teaching over those 20 years that something like, my dad tore up the rose you gave me when we got home from the final celebration. And it would just put me on tilt. And another little boy, I said, I watched him drag his girlfriend across the playground by her hair. And I said, why would you do that? I thought you liked this girl. And he said, well, that's what my dad does.
Oh, what?
That's how my dad treats my mom. And put me on tilt. So it was them, their faces, their sorrows, their grief that pulled this out of me. And then I found Nadine Burke Harris. And she said, adverse childhood experiences are the single greatest unaddressed public health threat facing the nation today. And we are all the movement. Everybody has to join. And no matter whether you have children or you don't, if you have grandchildren, you can be that resilient person in any child's life and protect them. And so think round, when I finally got my head around how important this issue is, not just for me personally, but for the children that I was working with, I called my board and I said, we have to join the movement. We're going to join the movement. And that's what we've done. And the Center for the Human Family that Ruth has told you about, I'm almost sure I put slides in here about it, but I'm going to show you pictures of what's going to go on the third floor. These are my paintings of children and families who are practicing 10 major world religions. I finished the Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Last year we finished the Hindus and Sikhs, and I'm this year painting indigenous families from around the world. And we use the Tree of Life to present these families in a template that follows infants, adolescents, boy groups, girl groups, moms, dads. Here are some Hindu families. And people have asked me, Heidi, how did this start? Why are you doing this? And I said, because I painted my own family, and I wanted to know if everybody else's family was as crazy as mine was. And as I said, there was no distilled wisdom there, and I wanted to see and look in other people's family photo albums to see if there was some distilled wisdom there. But you can see in this portrait of my family, I have no legs and nobody has a face.
No legs.
And this is me and my brothers. We are all born in the same week of August, and we're all like 3 years apart. And we have wobbly legs and no faces. So it's the children's mural program kids who were teaching me that I had broken heartstrings that had been buried for decades. And as I was teaching them, when the air, water, and soil are happy and healthy, the plants, animals, and people can be, they were teaching me that it's going to take a village to clean up and reuse your toxic childhood. So that's what they did. So here, the sequence is a little different than I'm used to. So the top 10, there they are. If you say yes, you had any of these, then that's a 1. For every yes, it's another 1. You find out what your score is. If you have 4 or more, you're likely to die 20 years earlier than your peers who don't have them, from 7 of the 10 causes of adult death. It's nuts. And these are the diseases that adults and people in my age bracket are dying from because they didn't address their childhood trauma. We don't have to live like this anymore, and we're not going to. It's expensive. In 2008, $124 billion from lost productivity of adults who couldn't work. In 2019, the United States spent $748 billion, so it's getting worse. It's a priority of the Center for Disease Control, the NIH, the state of California, the Center for Youth Wellness in Bayview Hunters Point, and Think Round Inc. The Center for Youth Wellness was started by Nadine Burke-Harris. She's a pediatrician who came to San Francisco to set up a pediatric clinic in Bayview Hunters Point. There was one pediatrician for 10,000 children. So she helped to screen them all, get them all their vaccinations and tests. And the teachers were sending her students and wanting her to diagnose them with ADHD. And she said, no, they don't have ADHD, they have PTSD. And it's chronic and it's in their homes, and we're gonna send in people to help, not to punish, not to blame, because no parent wants to hurt their kids, they don't. They're just doing what was done to them. And so they reparent these parents to be good parents and to have loving language to share with their parents instead of stop that crying or I'll give you something to cry about. I think most people in my generation heard that at one point. And my mother meant it. And I felt the rage behind that. So, these children and all of this information has led to our twin visions, my twin visions that have been embraced by so many thousands of people from around the world, and the youth that are helping to build the virtual center. But the aim is to prevent and heal intergenerational and epigenetic ACEs. Here's the Center for the Human Family, a geodesic dome with 3 floors, and we'll put the Paradise Project on the top, but it's a destination for prayer and meditation, art and science, health and healing, which is conflict resolution across faiths, spiritual evolution by really perfecting and understanding what consciousness and creativity is, and of course protecting the planet and her people. And it's, as I said, being created virtually, and anybody can visit over the World Wide Web, and the Paradise Project is the 5th installation will be installed virtually by the end of this year. So we'll have gardens and so forth, and also all kinds of demonstration projects like an aquaponics garden and fish farm that will be placed, and a super fun site. It'll be above ground, and the fish will feed the plants, and the plants will feed the fish. And these beautiful spaces on the waterfront in San Francisco can be reused in a healthy, happy way. So, so we'll have all of these on each floor, these different activities to do. So this is the most important thing, the healing rooms and conference rooms and auditoriums and exhibitions. And the Paradise Project is imagined here in 3D. And the template is the Tree of Life, and you can see running through the center column, all of them are everything that's on each circle. There's 4 or 8 paintings on each station. Through the middle, it's front yards, infants, adolescents, backyards. On the right, girls, girl groups, moms. On the left, boys, boy groups, dads. And then you can walk that circle virtually, see all the front yards, all the infants, boys and girls, adolescents, boy groups, girl groups, moms, dads, and then backyards and the earth, a holographic earth with as our shared backyard. And I'm not going to show this, but you can see it on our website. It has Jonathan's music in it. This is a 1-minute video that the youth who are interning with us have created of the Paradise Project. So we hope you will explore the vision at some point. We're trying to figure out, because there's so much information, digital information, it's hard to get this available on our website, but the youth are figuring it out. So what we're trying to do is to heal the earth, and humans, and we believe it will require this new paradigm for living, moving from a fear model of parenting that involves those things that we know about into a love model that we're all working towards. Everybody's working towards this. But we want to make it something that people can participate in actively. These are collages that I made. It's part of that. It was called Self-Portraits K through 12. I took my elementary school photos and said what my to-do lists were for each year. And my to-do lists are really rough, and it's in that exhibit virtually online. So this is what it was like growing up for me. This is when I was in the 6th grade, and that's when I was in the 7th grade. This symbol, this object here at the bottom, on the left, that's my stepdad, the batterer. The stone in my throat, it's a swear I was made so my dad wouldn't have to go to jail for molesting me. He made me swear. So this kind of stuff has been brought out of me in all kinds of mediums. This is oil pastel. I did this on a cruise with my husband, and I had no idea. But this was my inner teacher, my holy guardian angel, the God within me coming out and saying, you don't have to live like this. You have an inner teacher, and I'm here for you. So what we're about is making sure that we have happy, joyous, and free parents, because we believe that that will mean happy, healthy children and sustainable families. And we believe that when happy, joyous, and free families are amongst us, then we'll have a happy, sustainable planet. And we'll see from broader perspective that Earth is home and humans are family. So this is what we'll close with. These are the kids who made all of this that you've seen, that everything that we've, everything that you've seen, all the representations, young people are doing this, and they're coming from all over the world. We have people, the woman who did all the renderings of that last film, she's from Argentina, and she did it during COVID. And now all of these other young people are coming in and filling out each room that she designed. So it's just such a blessing that the higher power has given me such a great job. I've been thinking so small about the Center for the Human Family. The Center for the Human Family could be a part, just a part of what humanity has accomplished to this point. And the Getty is such a treasure trove of that. And if we can only celebrate creation and our walk out of Africa onto the 7 continents, and what we've all become and how we've evolved, then there should be no problem. I mean, if we know how to raise families to be happy and healthy, then all families across faiths and across color barriers and across sexual preferences can end. We don't have to have that anymore. And so many of us are pushing for this. Ruth, I know all of you in this room are pushing for it, or you wouldn't be here. So now you have the opportunity to see what is within you from that object you brought, so that you can make something that you can take home with you and put up on your wall and say, this is what I'm working on. And I'm going to pay attention to what I need to do to heal and to transform my inner life so that I can be a beacon of sunlight and the sunshine of the Spirit and carry that forward. So, you ready to get out the finger paints? My first experience of all was kindergarten finger painting. So please, over at the table with the pink tablecloth, that's the Barbie color. We want you to remember why you brought this object today, and think about if you want to do a watercolor, do you want to do a collage, do you want to do a ink wash drawing, do you want to do pencil drawing, do you want to do oil pastels, do you want to write a poem? 30 minutes to do your artwork, and then we'll put your artworks up on the wall and we'll talk about it. And then you use your finger. Okay, let's start. Everybody, let's gather around.
I brought a shell from the Philippines for my very first time going there when I was 8. That trip was really significant because me and my whole family got food poisoning, but my brother got really sick and we had to stay a little bit longer. And when I came back to school weeks later, my entire 3rd grade class was crying because they thought I had died. Because they didn't know why I wasn't back from the Philippines. And they didn't know what the Philippines was. And so this artwork is kind of symbolic of that for a period of time, there was a collective group of people that thought I didn't exist anymore, and so I didn't. And so these are the different lifetimes that maybe I have died in other people's lives or even my own. That's kind of what this is symbolic of.
Bet you made it back from the Philippines.
Your turn.
I have this vision for a entertainment hotel, maybe sort of casino-esque in Vegas. And it's this structure with 3 arms and 3 spheres as you go up. And they're like dome theaters, but it's hard to draw in 3D, so I'm looking down from the top, but it's just symbolic, really. I was thinking sacred geometry, so you have 3, 6, 9, which is Nikola Tesla was like obsessed with 3, 6, 9. Anyway, and then when you're in the dome theater, you are in another world. So it takes you to other worlds.
Wow. All right, who's this one? I know who this is.
So there's a beautiful passage in the Torah when Moses had his encounter. The first time God spoke to him was the burning bush. And what was remarkable about it is, and why he turned back. It says he turned back because he saw a bush that was burning but was not being consumed. And he realized that it had to be something special. And then God spoke to him twice, said his name twice. So he, like the first time you think, oh, God talked to me, no, that's impossible. And then you hear it again, and the second time that was a real voice. So first of all, this is a family picture with my daughter, was about 2 years old. My son, who was 4.5, my former husband, Isaac. We're lighting we're lighting Hanukkah candles, which also the idea of keeping the light going, from the burning bush. And below, I call this is called the burning bush of humanity. Here is my family by choice. This is Yuval Ron, who's a well-known Israeli composer, musician. His wife, Caroline, in France. This is a friend from Guadalajara, and these are his children. Silan, who must have been about 6 then, now she's in college in the Netherlands, and his son, who's in high school. And they're my family by choice. I go often to their home. I celebrate holidays with them. They don't have any grandparents. Her family's in France, his family's in Israel. And so I've become a kind of surrogate grandmother, godmother, and we go to all their family events, and we've decided that we're family. So you don't have to have natural family. And so together with your natural family and your family by choice, everybody gets to be adopted in the world.
Nice.
Right.
We want you to share with us. We don't want to skip.
When I was about 3, my father had a women's sportswear shop, and he had all these cardboards from the boxes. So I would go to the back of the store where it was quiet, and I'd lay on my stomach on this cold tile floor, and I would just keep drawing angels with pencil. So all of a sudden I thought of that, and I lay down there because I wanted to feel how that felt in my body. So this was the first one I drew. And it's definitely not like it used to be, but I couldn't remember. I know I always had the little puffs. Then the angel came down with puffs. I don't remember if I drew wings or not, but this was the first thing I drew today. Then I went to watercolor, and I had such a hard time getting the paint to kind of mix, and I got a private lesson from Heidi. So that's the watercolor angel. And then this is the pastel/crayons angel. And then I just love colors, so this isn't finished. The whole thing would be filled up with just shapes and beautiful colors. So.
Okay.
I was looking through old pictures of me as a little kid, and I chose this one. And I was just thinking about what I was feeling while I was making this or redrawing it. And I guess I just see a little girl that has had to be like an adult. I look like a little kid, but I felt like I had to be an adult and very mature. And I mourn that for her. And I want to protect her and allow her to be a child, even now in my adult phases. So yeah, this is me as a child.
Yes, that's. I come from Switzerland, so I don't speak very good English. But my mom is died, and I think she's come back like an angel. and she make that the family is come back together.
Wow.
And she loved this sign. She told me every time that's the sign for forever, and all we are together, and we come from one place, we are here, and then we go again to this place all together.
I feel I should share. I like to make pottery, and I made this leaf dish. Sam goes, "Oh, bring one of your things." Because first I heard, "Oh, you have to bring a photograph." Then I heard, "Oh, bring something that reminds you of something or your family." So I wrote, "We are all leaves on the tree of life. We float on the wind, sometimes gentle, sometimes strife. We are here for only a season. We are all one love. Then our spirit moves on to above."
Wow.
Goes so nicely with the one before.
Right, that's why I said, "Oh, it's my turn now." But I'm not done. And then I did the watercolor of the One Love, because I just went to see the movie, that we're all one love, and we're all from the same spark from above. And it's about letting go of racism and the struggle of Bob Marley. And recently we were in India, and we went to the Chill Out Cafe, where they played only Bob Marley music. And we had a 3-hour lunch and a nap. Then we went back to sightseeing in Hempy.
In Hempy.
Yeah.
Yay.
Go Pauline.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to bring. I don't have any pictures of my family. But generally speaking, my art is in simplicity. I could say it's the journey from darkness into the light. And many of us have different variations on that. I will tell you, since we focused on childhood trauma, mine was pretty difficult. I was crippled with polio at age 1. I lived in barbaric hospitals and had all this experimental surgery on my body. My mom and dad never really got along. There was a lot of abuse in my home. My parents fought every day. I went to public school and was bullied, peg leg, polio, ped for the whole time, same school. And so by the time I hit my teens, I was a mess. And I just, but I didn't really know much about anything, what I experienced, and I carried that into my teen years, and my young adult years were just terrible. So there's darkness in here, there's moments of happiness. My parents tried, they did their best. I love what you said, they don't want to hurt us. They just didn't have the tools back in the 60s to do. And there's moments of happiness, but it was overshadowed in tears and darkness. I think for me, I'm so lucky, as many of us are, something in us says, I gotta find a solution. And we begin our spiritual path of seeking, whatever that is. And I really believe there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's many spiritual paths. There doesn't have to be one. Like you said, we all come and go from the same place, but whatever we're seeking, we can find it if we try. And I did. Finally, about 13 years ago, I was seeking. I did all the regular religions, and I was talking to a friend. I did all the Course in Miracles and Artist's Way and Seed of the Soul and Deepak Chopra, religious science, trying to find happiness. And a lot of those teachings were fine mentally. I could hear some good ideologies and reasons. And one guy I used to follow years ago was Dr. Wayne Dyer. He had all these shows on PBS. And I liked it, and Deepak Chopra. Dr. Wayne would always close his show with this. When you change the way you experience life, your life will change. Good night, people, thank you. And I would go, but wait, how do you do that? How do you do that? And fortunately, a few years ago, my seeking brought me to Nichiren Buddhism. It's a teaching and a practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge. It's a sound and vibration thing we do a lot. And for the first time in my life, it took me about I was really interested. I was going several days to the Buddha Center over on Veterans and Fairfax. I was learning to chant. And after about an hour a day for 3 days, one day I felt good. And nothing ever changed the way I felt.
Wow.
And I felt good. And so for me, that was it. And I'm 13 years later, I'm in there. Wow. I still have challenges, and I'm human, and obstacles and difficulties, but the way I feel is different. And I embrace life, I'm ready to live, and I've done some good things. So lastly, this is Daisaku Ikeda and Kaneko Ikeda, and they're kind of the leaders of our organization. We don't have priests or monks, but we have leadership to guide us. And so for me, he's my mentor. Thank you so much.
What's your name?
Bernard.
Bernard. The whole adult grounded me about to take you on a complete journey that rhymes this time for this art that I did start when I was like this. What you see here, oh my darling dears, what you see here is division by mitosis or meiosis, which is so clear when you understand it through the lenses, the points of view. Thank you for coming here and lending your eyes too. Your stories, your heart, your way, always one part. And then it divided. The dream to be a mom and nothing in between was born within me. But I got broken, you see. Broken, ripped, tokened. Oh, I was broken. Oh, I was. And then I processed it. I got my voice. I used it loud. It gave me choice. Oh, again with peace and with love. I stand on the shoulders of all the scientists, the theorists, the philosophers, the love. And the rainbow promises, and the current moment too, the principal ingredient of life is love too. I got my dream because I listened so loud for the promise that comes in with the rainbow and the clouds. Without the rain, there is no rainbows. I learned this so strong. Without the rain, there is no rainbows. Thank you, grandmother. Thank you, grandfather. Thank you, friend. Thank you, mother. Thank you, teacher. Thank you. Thank you, father. I got to have babies. And, perfect. I am not perfect. They are not. Perfect is not what anyone's got. And it is perfect. For Einstein said, it's either all a miracle. Oh my gosh, you have lived. And now that you are sharing this story in third person in all her glory, thank you for the generational joy. Thank you, a girl and a boy.
You get to use your imagination as deeply as you choose right now. You have to with this kind of art here. It's a simple heart. And what do you see here?
Broken.
It's actually open.
Open heart with a wing.
So, it is open, and which direction is it facing? It's facing forward. It is pointing upward. And when love is given totally freely, it creates peace. It's the highest vibration of peace. But without love, peace cannot prevail. So anytime we get out of center, we get refocused. Where do we get refocused? I bring my hand here, center of the chest bone, and it touches the heart, but guess what else touches? Your heart touches your hand. When we know, the most important thing to know, peace is in everything. In everything with peace. Peace will prevail on earth, not just for us, because we've given it away. And there's no we here. There's no other here. What's here? This present gift that we can't help but give. And it's beautiful to not have to help anything. It just comes naturally. And that's why we meditate. That's why you can use the mantra, peace in everything, everything with peace. And whatever language you have is your number one language, the one you dream in. Bring peace in everything. And everything as peace, because it becomes as peace, not thinking it's other than. That's the highest mantra for this peacemaking. It's the realization that what you see may be something that doesn't quite look peaceful the way you looked at it before. But what do you get to experience? And if you're experiencing it, do our vibrations spread freely, not bound by solid columns? Nothing can stop that vibration. This is what this means to Kurt. And it can mean whatever you see here, and you take your vision of peace and create it. And that helps this vision of peace create even better. We synergize with what we've done. It's uprising together!
I brought a family picture of most of my family standing in next to a butterfly grove in Santa Cruz. And so this is sort of a depiction of that grove. It was a moment of great happiness. Off the scale of 1 to 10, I had 0. I have had a very idyllic childhood, and so I don't carry any of that immense weight of guilt, of shame, of being, what is the word I want, of being
bad girl,
abused,
Violated,
abused, invaded, my personal space, my being. I don't carry that. So, but I celebrate that in all of you who are survivors, and I celebrate it through transformation. Here's a little, I don't know if you can see.
Caterpillar.
A caterpillar.
Yay.
That transcends all of it to fly its glory. But I honor all of you in working through. That's it. Thank you.
Do it here.
Wow.
All good.
Ruth promised us that we'd be changed. I was changed, Heidi, after your presentation. Where are you, Heidi?
Could you speak up?
Could I speak up?
Could
Is
you
that
use your
loud
outdoor
enough?
voice?
Microphone, please.
I was transformed by your presentation, Heidi, so I got my money's worth.
Good.
I'm a dramatist, and so my art form is drama. So you can't put drama on 2 dimensions. So the labyrinth is a symbol of a mystery, which I believe all of our lives are. And so when I was preparing, I went to my computer and I drew out the images that I really wanted to work with. And so I'm just going to ask, there might be a closed captioning. I'm not going to talk a lot about each of these, so you might want to get closer because some of them you might not be able to see. All right, you want me to hold your
staff?
No, the staff.
Okay.
The staff will hold it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, you can hold it. And I'd like to hand these to someone. To Pauline, okay, just. This is where I live, Culver City. This is Ballona Creek. And this is my condo. And I believe that what we're about here is transformation. And I believe that portals are the spaces that we go through when we're transformed. So I'm working on a book called Over Underland, or Under Overland, because it's on Overland Avenue, and there's a river that runs under Overland. And so I believe that there is a portal there. And there are portals everywhere. There's portals absolutely everywhere, but I have focused on the portal under Overland. President Biden was there the other day. Took his motorcade right across. So this is my book, Over Underland, Under Overland, both. And since I also believe that less is more, here's a joke. The Zen Awards. Zen's men sitting in their gardens and saying, "Thank you for nothing." A star danced, and under it you were born. This is the beginning of my life.
Sweet.
My brother and I. This, by the way, is a picture from The Family of Man. You're talking about.
I know that part.
You know the book. Yes. You know the book from the 60s, Family of Man. Very important book in my life. And your museum is just a manifestation of that. Mm-hmm. True. My brother and I. Babes in the Woods. Kindergarten picture.
I remember that picture.
We all have these. There is I. Little tomboy girl. Where was that? Compton. I'm straight out of Compton.
What grade was that? You know what grade that was?
That was kindergarten. And this is what I looked like as a little girl.
That's what you
Did
felt.
ballet.
I was a dancer. I never took ballet, but I was just always dancing, always running, always jumping. Jumping. That was my sport, broad jump.
Wow.
When I was about 7, I had a meditation. The word spoon, 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 spoon came up in my mind. It's in my memoir if you've read it. Spoon, 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 spoon. What does that mean? And I heard the words, I swear to God, I'd never heard them before because I was not raised in a religious home. I heard the words, I am that I am.
Wow.
I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
High school graduation, valedictorian, of course.
Oh,
Who knew?
Then man. This is the man I married.
Let's see.
He was a total hump.
Yeah.
Looks like James Dean.
Where is he now?
He's, where are you, Larry? I think he's here. Sex, love, all that jazz. This is Lilith, by the way.
Oh, it's not you?
No, it's the other Eve. The one that most of us in this room probably relate to. This is me.
Gorgeous. Isn't she gorgeous?
Wow.
Babies. My husband used to hold the baby like this, you know.
Was that Vivica?
He didn't hold her like this, you know. The end of his arm.
Wow.
Like she was a camera. That was Vivica.
It was Vivica. Wow.
That's Vivica.
Wow.
Well, that's not Vivica, but that's the way he carried Vivica.
Wow.
We had 4 babies. This is me. This is my favorite picture. This is me and our 4 babies. All together, they were within 5 years. We had 4 babies.
Whoa.
Here's Keith, Leela, Vivica, and Brian.
And that's you?
And that's you. A few years later, not so happy. Very unhappy. Very unhappy. Very unhappy. Very unhappy family. Alcoholic, domestic violence. I'm a 4 aces, personally. And my kids now tell me that they're more aces than 4. I didn't know how traumatic and violent my own home was. I was working all the time because this man did not support us. But he was brilliant anyway, and sexy. And so the hummingbird became my totem. I started really on my spiritual journey, really when I was 17, but later I was spiritually transformed. Let's just say, long story, but spiritually transformed. Climbing the highest mountain, here I am, to God.
Looks like a hand.
It is, but it's also a mountain. That's on the front of my memoir. And then I walked across the country with my daughter, Vivica.
Wow.
And this is us on the road. This is me on the road, someplace in some desert town where there were dinosaurs, and I decided I was a dinosaur. And I think I am a dinosaur. We reached Washington, D.C. here as Vivica took this picture of me. I have the Washington Monument in my hand. 6.5 months on the road.
Wow.
Got involved with indigenous people, indigenous causes, as you know. Here's where I got the famous staff of authority from an indigenous group. Ruth was there. The staff was handed to me, and I had it for 18 months.
The unity staff.
The indigenous women's staff of the grandmothers and grandfathers, wise persons of the planet. That was what it was called.
Wow.
This is me as an old lady.
Your halo.
Older.
Corona.
Oh, yeah.
Crown.
Corona. And lightning in a bottle, that's what we're doing now. We're transforming. We're transforming ourselves. We're transforming our world. And finally, last but not least, the crone and the child. This is, it's so pale, but it's a crone and a child.
Wow.
And, you know, we all transform.
Boy, does someone know how to do a homework assignment?
That's why she was valedictorian.
Talking for so long that I always instead of painting. I just want to thank everybody here for sharing your heart. It's so amazing. I'm so grateful that I had the life that I did. I was an only child, and I was very nurtured I was very, well, my mother's Italian, strict Italian, so it was just like, really, really strict. And I'm just so grateful that I don't have any of those numbers on my list. There's certain things that I felt over-nurtured, but anyway, it's okay. So since childhood, I was always on a spiritual journey because I'd go to the churches and they just didn't make sense, dumping me in water. And one kind, another one, they're praying to some other stuff going on, and I thought, that priest is over at my neighbor's house while his wife is home and the man is at work. Oh, but I was a saintly person. Well, later on when I realized, I realized what was going on. So I saw hypocrisy in all these places. So I was always looking for something. I never had a Coca-Cola, coffee, liquor, nothing. I just wanted to have a pure mind. So I was doing, like Bernard and other people, we were doing all these kind of spiritual things and just looking into all these self-empowerment things and everything. And then one day, back in 1967, my friend came to work and she said, "Oh, I'm going to Japan next week and I'm going to dance in a stadium." And I said, "You don't even want to drive in a car. Now you're afraid you're going to go in a jet. You're going to drive with thousands of people in this stadium to dance. This is like really, this is like interesting. What are you doing?" "Oh, I went to this great group and the people are so wonderful. We're all over the world." She said, "It's just so amazing." So that was my first introduction to Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I've said it every day for 56 years. And it's totally amazing because we really, in fact, you're talking about 2030, that's like our theme to get, coming up next March, we're getting 15,000 youth around the world to join in these world peace meetings to really see, because we're actively out there every single day. I met him in the library. I met Bernard in the library. That's how he was talking. He was reading about past lives. And I said, "Oh, I like past lives. I'm interested in that." He says, "Well, take me right there." So we raced on down to Fairfax and Venice, and that was the beginning. And so this practice, we have no statues, we have no priests, we have no temples, and we don't charge any money. And we're in 192 countries. And I just wanted to share, because when people say this Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which means cause and effect, you don't have to give up your belief. In fact, Dean Carter from Morehouse College said, "I'm a better minister because I also do this." And my best friend introduced Tina Turner to the practice. You all probably know her story. She would have been, well, her mother introduced Tina. She would have been dead the day that she was introduced to this practice. And so that's why I just feel so grateful to be able to share this. You can just add the words Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, cause and effect to whatever you do. And if you're feeling sad about your past, it's like we totally deal with the present. That's why all of these things will invite your inner explorer. Make it your mission. The time is now. The poetry of perseverance. And let me see. You never back down from a challenge, and you wouldn't start now. Always more to discover, and that's what this practice is about. I didn't intend on going into this, but the necessity of us all joining together, because what's happening in this world, you can see every day, the shooting and the killing here and this and that and smash and grab and all this kinds of stuff. The other day I was at a situation at Smart and Final, I think it was, or Food for Less or whatever, and I'm walking out the door, and I had told 3 people about chanting. This is the protection I have. I had told 3 people in the store about the practice. So I'm standing outside the door, and all of a sudden these 2 people come out with double stacks like this of items that they stole, like they were like diapers, very, very expensive, and they're running out. The manager they push her over. She missed me by like this much. I could have been dead falling on the sidewalk. I thought, oh, that's because I was protected from this. So when the police, so then we got acquainted, we were starting to talk outside, and she was calling the police. So then the police come out, they do a full report of, you know, what happened and doing all this. And you know that the police never catch anybody, even when they're like 5 feet in front of them, they can't even, you know, oh, we lost the people or whatever. Long story short, I gave the 2 policemen Namyo Haringe Kyo. Okay, I said, you're gonna catch these people, and I totally think that you are so amazing. The police are so incredible. They get a bad rap. They're risking their life every single day to get shot, to get killed. Did you hear that happening every day now? And so I called the girl, and so called the manager, and I said, you know, because of this incident, that's how we met. Because she wants to start chanting. She says, I've got to do something for my life. And so I said, because of these thieves, we were brought together so you could do this practice. So she's been, you know, we've been communicating. She called, she said, 15 minutes after the incident happened, the police caught them at the AutoZone, handcuffed them, and that was it. And it's like a miracle. It's like, you know, it's like you could say that it's cause and effect. This is amazing. Their karma came back to them because they're stealing, they were handcuffed and they're going to jail, you know, whether the DA is not going to hold them or whatever. But the idea is they saw actual proof in getting these criminals one at a time, you know, one at a time. So that's my story. Thank you so everybody for being so attentive. I really appreciate it.
My family, real people who almost glow in the dark. By the way, my mom and my brother are on the other side. Pauline is still here. Character, personality, substance, tradition, wholesome, loving, trusting, real people with substance. I can bank on their love, endless love, vast expansion, my family, my earthly family, Lord, take me higher.
Yay. Well done. Well done.
And I could talk for hours, but I won't.
And last but not least,
innermost being, we become one with all that there is. That's it.
Oh, I love that.
I want to thank everybody for your attention
Thank you.
and to encourage you to go to thinkround.org and sign up for our newsletter so you can get our announcements, and if you ever come to San Francisco, please visit.
Yay.